Would you like to have more cash flow? Most people would say yes to that question. Even if they have cash flow, they'd like to have more cash flow. It's always good to have more revenue streams. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, how to create those revenue streams in your business. So what you're going to discover is that you probably have an information product inside you waiting to get out. And there are simple ways to organize what's in your head into a sellable product or a program of some kind. And we're also going to talk about how to determine which product to create first. Because a lot of times you may have several ideas, but you're not sure which one to create. So I'm going to give you a kind of a step-by-step method to determine which one is the best one to start with. Just a little bit about me so you know who's talking to you. I'm the creator of the first online article directory. I'm Marnie Pehrson. I'm a best-selling author of 25 books. Been in business for 25 years. I'm the creator of the collaborative creation and story method, which is a fast way to create books, and the author of multiple #1 Amazon movers and shakers and #1 Amazon bestsellers. I've been selling information products online since 1994, back in the days of AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy, which if you're younger, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. And I'm the mother of 6 and grandmother of 2. So first we're going to dispel a few myths about product creation. And the first one is that product creation has to take a long time. And that's probably left over from the old corporate days of, R&D, where you do all this research and development and take all this time to create products, and or people that take years to write books and things like that. So there's just kind of in the people's heads that it takes a long time to create products, and that's really a myth. I'm going to give you a couple methods today for creating products fast. Another myth is that you need a lot of technical pieces to deliver the programs or products online. And another myth is that you must know everything about your subject before you create the programs or the products, and that's a myth. That's simply not true. The challenge that I see most people face is that you're probably having trouble packaging what seems obvious to you or what comes easily to you. You may be staring right at your answer and not see it because it seems like something that's just obvious to you, or something that is, you don't even have to do a lot to be able to do whatever this thing is. It just comes easily for you, and so you may not be valuing the thing that could be your next revenue stream. Another challenge that I see a lot of people face is that there's so much information swimming around in your head that it's hard to know how to organize it. Without a clear system, you can't convey what is in your head. You may have all of the answers, but if they're not systematized in some way and organized in a way that you can deliver it to other people, then they won't pay for it. It's sort of like handing someone a big blob of clothes and, armful of clothes and say, here, versus handing them a suitcase with a handle and they can open it up and all the contents are organized or whatever. So somebody would rather have something a little bit more organized than just tossing a bunch of stuff at them that they have to try to scramble to take hold of. And what's happening in the meantime while you're having trouble packaging this or seeing what your value is, you're losing out on revenues, and the people you could be helping are not getting help. They're not getting their answers that they want. I want to introduce you to a few people that have worked with me. These are some of my students, and the reason I'm introducing you to these people is I want you to see different ways that people have created information products and how they do it, so that you can understand maybe how you can do it too. It might trigger an idea for you. One of their stories might be just the thing that will give you the idea of, oh, I could be teaching this or I could be doing that. So first, I'd like to introduce you to Jaylynn. Jaylynn is a mom of 9, a grandmother of 18. She looks really young for that, doesn't she? She's about 53, I think. She's a family history buff, and she got help for her depression after a failed suicide attempt. And you would probably never guess that of Jaylynn if you ever met her in person. She's very happy, upbeat person, but that is now. That's after she's come up with a system for overcoming depression. She turned her life around, and she now teaches other people how to overcome depression. And she was working with people individually when a friend of hers told her about my training. And so back in March, which is only a few months ago of this year, she took my training in Salt Lake City and came for a 2.5-day training, and we transformed in that class her knowledge that she had, her system that she had, into a program that she could deliver, and helped her create a sales page and a preview presentation that she could then deliver to other people to upsell them into her workshop. So what Jaylyn did is within a couple weeks of taking my training, she spoke at a local meetup group, and she delivered the preview presentation that she created in our training to these people. And in that meetup group, 4 people purchased her training for $497 each student. So you can kind of do the math there. That's almost $2,000 that she made within a couple weeks. By the 1st of April, she had these 4 students signed up for her program, which she had not fully put online yet, okay? So all of her tech pieces weren't necessarily in place, but she had the program developed and knew what she was going to teach, and then she's getting ready to deliver it shortly. But she did all this before she even had the website finished. And in fact, if you go to joybegins.com today, it's not, you can tell it's still not completely there, okay? But she was able to start generating revenues before the site was up or anything. So it'll be up live maybe by the time people watch the recording. Okay, let me introduce you to another one of my students. This is Stacie Harris. You can find her at stacieharris.com. And she's a single mom, and she also took the training back in March of 2015. She and Jaylyn were in the same class. And what Stacie does is she gives a free class in her home. She invites women over just to a free class called It's Your Time to Be Happy. And she talks to them about how to be happier, how to embrace your happiness. Her story is one of having a really hard road as a single mom in a difficult situation, and for a lot of years she didn't feel like she could really embrace happiness. She couldn't really feel the emotions of happiness. And she uncovered the secrets to happiness, and that is what she teaches in her training. So people come to her house for this free class, and then within the first month she sold $1,000, made $1,000 off of upselling the people who attended the free class at her house into her Empower Women, Empower Families workshop. So, and that's the program that she outlined in our training together. So again, Stacie had her site up. My team helped her get a little site up just as a basic something to have there where she can take an order and she can promote her free training, and it doesn't have to be complicated. We didn't overcomplicate it with Stacie. You know, so how simple can it be to invite people over to your house, teach them something, and then have something to offer on the back end? So there's another example. One more that I'll introduce you to is Susan. Now, Susan took the training, I think, a few months back. She signed up and actually had a surgery, so she couldn't go to the initial training, and so she took it a little bit later. So I can't remember the exact dates that Susan took it. But she's a workspace designer, and what she did is she gives a free lunch hour class on decluttering. She normally has been a designer who's just gone in and redesigned people's workspaces and actually done the work. And so she wanted to take something that she does just naturally and innately and start teaching people different concepts about design and their workspaces. And so she thought she'd start with the decluttering, because a lot of people, you know, their desks are so cluttered they can't even begin to start thinking about having some nice interior design to their workspace. So she started with that by giving this free lunch hour class. And at the time, she didn't even have her website up. So she just used some flyers. And in fact, this image that I'm showing is like her flyer. It's a really nice looking flyer. And she gave this out at this luncheon that she was speaking at. And in that luncheon, she sold 5 people at $97 each into a live class that she held locally on decluttering. So they came back for another day of training, spent the day with her, and she taught them her decluttering, her new rules for clutter. And then from there, she's got them into other things that she offers, including her individual services or products and things on the back end. So that's just her first stab out of the gate. And again, her site isn't completely up either. So you can see that while the tech piece makes it more streamlined and important, easier to make sales, most of these people, they just had a buy button on there and a little bit of information, and they ran with it. And that's why I'm showcasing them, is I want you to understand the principle that they are modeling, that you don't wait around and sit on your ideas. You run with them, you take action, and when you do, you can get the feedback from real people who buy your products and services, and you can start deciding on other products or services that your people want. And each of these ladies have thought of other things that they can then offer their audiences, because now they're interacting with real people who are taking their trainings. So this kind of gives you, I think, a really good example, three good examples of people who are doing it. So the missing piece for most people is the system. Do you have your brilliance down to a system? And that, when I started working with people with positive messages to share, that's the thing that I noticed they were missing. A way to convey it. Again, it's like handing somebody a suitcase instead of a big blob of clothes and, saying, here, figure this out. You want it to be something that they can follow, and that's what I teach people how to do, how to systematize what all's going on inside their heads. So I want you to ask yourself, are you leaving money on the table? You may already be doing some kind of hours for dollars service. Maybe you do consulting or coaching, or maybe you, maybe you're like Susan was, and you're going in and offering a service where it's involving you trading your time, for dollars. But you could be leaving money on the table. There could be other things that you could be making money from. So let's say, for example, that you created 3 different $197 programs every year. So you spread them out over the year. You create 3 different ones. And you deliver each one a couple times, so that maybe every month you're offering every other month you're offering a different program or something, let's say. Now let's assume that you have 10 people in each of these classes. This is just a modest example. The first program, if you sold it for $197 and you had 10 people in the class and you offer it twice a year, that's an additional $3,940 that you could be bringing in to your business. If you did it again with the second program, that's another $3,940, and with a third program, it'd be another $3,940. So you're looking at, a total earnings of $11,820 that you could be adding to your business just by taking something that you do easily or something you know about or your story and turning it into something that would benefit other people. So your product, when I say a product, I use that term kind of loosely, and you'll hear me use the term program or product kind of interchangeably. And generally the way I define the two is that a program is kind of like a training program, something where you're training somebody on how to do something, and it's usually delivered live in a live setting. So the initial model that I used most of the time and that I teach most of the time is you deliver some kind of live training and then you record it, and then that recording could be turned into some kind of deliverable product of some kind, some information product. But the training that I teach, people use it for all kinds of things. I've had them take my training and apply it to a website, that they're making an information website. So, it can be corporate trainings. It could be videos or audios. It could be a live in-person event or a training or a teleclass or a webinar or a retreat. It could be a home study course. So it can take any shape or form that you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. And using my system, you can just plug what you're doing into it and create what you want out the other side. So it gives you a framework without it being mega cookie cutter. You know what I mean? I'm giving you the framework from which you can create what you want and what you feel comfortable with. You could even create a workbook or a book, for that matter, out of this. That could be your information product. So once you have created some kind of a live program, let's say you go the route of delivering it live. A lot of my students don't. They don't deliver it live. They just maybe record it as audios and PDFs, or maybe they decide to do videos. But then there are others, like Stacie, for example, who's delivering it as a live program. She's teaching a training. So once it's done, you can record it and turn it into downloadable products. You could turn it into fixed-term memberships, maybe, you know, where people pay a membership access. You could use parts of it as bonuses for other products or services that you offer. You could put it into VIP intensives, you know. So let's say you're going to work with people in a VIP setting. For example, Susan might go in, work in a VIP setting to help her client create a workspace that works for them, and part of it might be that, hey, we give you the declutter class bonus recordings, so you can listen to those first on your own time, declutter, and then we'll come in and we'll really, you know, kick your workspace up a notch and make it really nice. So it could be included with other things that you offer. It could be a bonus to a high-end product, and there's just tons of imagination. You know, you're only limited by your imagination on what you could do with these different types of products that you develop. So one of the fastest money makers are just downloadable products, and you create the product once and then you'll have a recurring revenue stream. So let's say that you create a $97 product that's just a download that people get at their own convenience. They could order at midnight. They could order while you're on a beach somewhere. Your online delivery system would just send them the appropriate download information, and they would start watching it while you're sleeping or you're, you know, drinking a pina colada somewhere. So let's say that you had 50 sales of a $97 product. That's $4,850. If you had 100 sales of a $97 product, that's $9,700. 500 sales would be $48,500. 1,000 sales would be $97,000. So you can see that if you can drive enough traffic and enough interest to what you've done, then those numbers can just keep going up, and it doesn't involve your time at that point because they're getting a download of some kind. It's instantly available. So what you want to ask yourself is, are you seeing your own wow factor? Your wow factor could look like, it could be your story that you share, or it could be some claim to fame, the thing that stands out about you. One thing you can ask yourself is, what question do you hear from people the most? Do you get the similar question from people? Mine was, how do you get so much done so fast? So like 6 kids, written all those books, and so people are like, how do you do that? How do you get so much done so fast? And honestly, I didn't think I could teach anybody how I got things done so fast. To me, it was just innate. I was just doing it. I didn't know how I was doing it. And you may be the same way. You may be, whatever that question is that people are asking you, you may be like, yeah, but I just do it, and there's no system. But there is a system to what you're doing. And I took mine and turned it into an information product, just a low-end information product on how to get more done in a day than most people accomplish in a week. Now, how I distilled that is I first started off by documenting what I did know. Okay, so there were a few tips and things that I knew I did, and so I started writing those down. And then I had a coach friend of mine interview me about it. Coaches are great because they know how to ask questions, and they know how to pull your brilliance out of you and ask you things so that you can articulate it in a systematic way. So this coach friend of mine got on the phone with me, total of about 3 hours. I think we did a couple sessions. And she just picked my brain, so I'd say something, and then she'd say, okay, now tell me more about that. How did you do that, or whatever? And she just kept asking me questions. And we recorded that interview. And then I took that and transcribed it, and I didn't even have anyone else to transcribe it. I did it myself because I wanted to hear it, because as I was hearing it, it triggered other ideas that I might not have thought to tell her. So I ended up just transcribing myself and adding some more things in as I was listening. But you could have someone else transcribe it, and then you go clean it up. So once you've done that, ask yourself, how did that turn out? Did you have a lot of good information to share? If you can't sit and talk about it very much, then it may not be the subject. But if it's something you can talk about really easily like that, and people can ask you questions, then you're probably onto something. So once you have, like, your claim to fame, then you can duplicate and work off of that and create other things. So, for example, getting things done fast, okay, it went into the first product. But then I create books fast. I created one of my books in like a 30-day period, from writing it to getting it into a print book in my hand in 30 days. So I took the process that I went through to create that book and turned it into a program called Create a Wow Book. And I delivered this program live several times and recorded those sessions. I recorded like 10 sessions. And now I make that part of it a download. It's available as a Create a Wow Book program, and then I offer some consulting as well if they want me to look at their manuscript or coach them a little bit on the book process. So I did like a hybrid thing out of it. Another thing that I did is, out of this Create a Wow Book program, I ended up transitioning a significant percentage of the people who took that program live into a monthly coaching group. I created, and it wasn't even necessarily about book coaching. It was just about how to create a splash online, how to ignite the wow factor online in getting noticed and things, and created a monthly coaching group out of that. So then after that, I duplicated the same question again. How do you get things done so fast? I asked myself, okay, in another area, how do I do this with products? I've created I don't know how many information products over the years, and I've got it down to a step-by-step system and turned it into the program that I'm going to tell you about today on how to create information products in a week or less. So you could do the same thing with what you know how to do. What's the question people are asking you, and then how can you duplicate that? How can you answer that question for different people, for different audiences, for different purposes? So how do you spot that brilliance, that thing? One thing is that you probably love to talk about it. It's probably something that you find yourself talking about a lot. Maybe people ask you the questions about it, or it's something that's easy for you, that just comes naturally. Or maybe people compliment you on it. Or it's something that makes you unique in your field. It's something that, you may be a life coach where there are a lot of life coaches, but maybe you've got some unique way of helping people that's different than everybody else. It may be that your story is the unique thing. It's that hard thing you dealt with, like Jaylynn going through, a failed suicide attempt and coming out with a system for overcoming depression. That story is compelling. That story grabs people's attention. And so it may be your story that makes, a product or service that you have that could be maybe seen as vanilla or like somebody else's. It could be the thing that makes the wow factor with your product or service. It could just be you and your story that makes it unique. So those are some ideas for what to look for to spot your own brilliance. Now, I'm going to give you a step-by-step method for deciding how to tell which product to create. Maybe as we've been talking here, you've come up with 2 or 3 ideas, or maybe you already had some that you came to this call with. What I want you to do is create a table here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, okay? And across the top, in the first column, put product idea. In the second column, put content. The third column, put passion. Fourth column is about demand, so put demand there. The fifth column is business tie-in. The sixth column is knowledge. And the seventh column is for totaling up the scores. So what we're going to do is we're going to rate each of your ideas. So underneath product idea in the first column, kind of jot down a name for each of your ideas. Just keep it brief. Doesn't have to be a lot of description. But, you know, if you've got a couple ideas, 3 ideas, 4 ideas, just jot those down, each on a different row on that first column for the product idea. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to score each of these ideas on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being it doesn't fit. It's not a, it's not a match. It's not. It's a low score. 5 would be the high score that it really fits. Okay, so let's say you take your first idea and we're going to rate it based on the content that you currently have available. Perhaps you've already written articles or blogs, or maybe made some audios or videos on the subject of this idea. So the more content you have already developed, the higher the score you'll give it. So if let's say you have quite a bit of content, you might give that one a 4. Okay? If you didn't have any content, you give it like a 1 or something. Okay? So that's the first score. The next score is passion. How passionate are you about this idea? If this is something you could talk about all the time, you could just easily, you love talking about it, that would be like a 5. If it's something you kind of get bored with, and gosh, I really wish people would stop asking me about this, it may be a low thing as far as passion goes, all right? If somebody has asked you so many times about something that you're getting sick of answering it, that goes with the next one. That's demand, okay? So let's say that there's this idea you have thought, you've answered this question so many times that you're tired of answering it. That's a good gauge that there's demand for that, okay? So it may not matter that you don't have a lot of passion about it because there's a demand for it. So if a lot of people have asked you about it, you give it a 5. If it's very little people asking you about it, you put down on the 1 or somewhere in between. The next column is a business tie-in. So how well does it fit with your business? For example, I could probably do a product on, I don't know, learning to play the piano, okay? I've played the piano since I was 5, okay? But playing the piano doesn't really fit with my business. That's, unless I created some kind of, music product, I guess. I could find some way to make it fit with my business, but it's probably not a really tight tie-in. So that would be more like a 1 on my scale, where if I created a product on how to create a Kindle book, which I did just create, that's a good tie-in because that fits with product creation, okay? So that would be more like a 5. Or you can rate it somewhere in between. So how well does it fit with your existing business? The next question you want to ask yourself is, how much knowledge do you already have about it? Is it something you could easily talk a lot about, or is it something you'd have to go research or take a class to be able to do, or you'd have to learn some more? If you're going to have to learn a bunch more, then it's down on the 1 end of the spectrum. If it's something you know a whole lot about and could just rattle on about, it's more on the 5 end. Okay, so you'll do that with each of your ideas. You just go through each one of them and rate them. And then you're going to total the scores across. And whichever one has the highest score wins. That's the one that would be the fastest, easiest, and most logical for you to create. Now, it could be that you look at the score and you see that idea number 2 has the highest score across, but your gut says number 1 is the better idea. Well, you might ask yourself why. Why do you feel that? Did you misscore something? Or your gut trumps logic, okay? So if you've got a gut feeling about something, go with that. It really doesn't matter, because the trick is, and when people ask me, how do I get things done so fast, it's making a decision fast, okay? So this tool is to help you make a decision fast. All of your ideas, you may have 3 fantastic ideas, and it really doesn't matter which one you create first, but you've got to decide to create one. And when you make that decision to create one, you set things in motion, and you get that one done, and then you can always go back and have the time to create the second one or the third one. But if you stay immobilized, never able to make a decision, then you get nothing created, and your money is not coming in, and you don't have the cash flow that you could be having because you're stuck in indecision. So use the chart, make your decision. If your gut trumps it and says something else ought to be done first, do it. It doesn't matter. Pick something and move forward. So here's a typical process that you could use to create an information product and promote it. And this is the system that I teach you. The first is to create some kind of a preview presentation. So today, for example, is a preview presentation for my How to Create Information Products program. So I'm sharing with you today some key information that you can take away. Whether you end up taking my program or not, you have at least learned a few ideas for what you might be able to create as a product. You have a system now for evaluating your product ideas, and you have a few ideas of how you might be able to distill what it is you know into a product. So that's what a preview presentation does. It educates people, but it also lets them know that, hey, you've got something more. And from there, you can enroll your viewers into your program or to sell them on your product, whatever it is that you're offering. So like Stacie offers that free class at her house, people come, and then she sells them into her other workshop. Then you deliver your program live, that training that you have. You don't have to do it live, but a lot of people, there's a better energy in delivering it live, and you can create the material with a live audience. You get the feedback, and it helps you perfect your product by delivering it live, and it will have a better energy once you do, even if you sell it later as a recording, at least having had delivered it live originally, it will have a good energy about it. So you record that, and then now you have something instantly downloadable. The recordings, the handouts, the information that you created for your program is now something that you can turn around and sell over and over and over again without investing your time over and over again. So the key to speed, to creating these products fast, is to keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And a lot of people do overcomplicate, but I have it down to a science. I have a simple, duplicatable system. So that's what you want. You want something that's duplicatable to take your products through so that you're making sure you're crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's, but you're not overcomplicating it either. And then you can use that same system for multiple programs or products. And eventually, you can create products in days rather than weeks. My program that I just released, the little product I created on 5 steps to Kindle creation and publishing, I created that product, the meat of it, in a day. Actually, it's videos, and that's a good example of something that can be created fast, and it's a downloadable. It offers a high value, It's not an expensive product, but it lets people have an introduction to what I do. So my system is how to create information products fast, or how to transform your knowledge and expertise into virtual products and programs. And when you're ready, you can save time and follow this system. So there's different phases to this process that I'll go through. So the first phase is the program creation itself. You want to know, what are you delivering to people? And I always start by identifying and researching the ideal audience. You need to know your customer first and foremost. And I teach you a very in-depth system of identifying and researching your ideal audience. This is the equivalent of like the R&D that the corporations do, where they do the market research and everything. So I teach you how to do market research and identify your ideal audience and their most pressing needs. And then you create the product for that person, those ideal audience, those ideal customers. You're going to create your program to meet their needs. So I show you how to outline your program and how to price it, how to name it. And then the second phase is to simplify the sales process. It doesn't have to be really complicated. I show you how to develop your preview call, or your webinar, or your teleseminar, or that free info night type thing, whatever you want to call it. It could be a video series that you do, something to pre-educate people. And then we craft your sales page, show you how to create your sales page and your buy buttons and everything. And then the next phase is to fill those programs by streamlining your marketing plan and creating a marketing calendar and leveraging your exposure. So here's basically the 5-step process. Research your audience, create a program outline, create a preview call or a preview presentation of some kind. You create your sales page, some way for them to buy. And a sales page could be as simple as a flyer that you hand out at a live event when you speak. You know, it doesn't have to be a website. It could be an order form. You know, in fact, Susan, that's what she did, I believe, is just handed people an order form and they filled it out. Okay? And then you want a marketing plan to implement and really push this out in a bigger way. So here's kind of a timeline overview of how this works. Now you'll notice on this chart that, okay, the blue area, we've got researching your audience. And then going in next, this yellow area is outlining your program. Notice that outlining your program spans across the timeline. You don't have to have your program completely developed, every I, dotted and every T crossed on your program before you start selling it. You can go ahead and be outlining your preview presentation, making the sign-up process for people to attend your preview presentation. You could be creating the sales page for your product. You can be promoting your preview presentation. It might be a couple webinars that you deliver. Maybe you offer the webinar a couple times, and then you sell people in to the actual training program through those preview presentations. And the whole time you can be developing your program. So you've got, if this is a 30-day span, which is the way I normally teach people to do it, then you've got 30 days to be developing this program before you actually go in delivery mode. And that's the beauty of this program, is you can be hitting the ground running fast. This is why my students start making money within a couple weeks, is because they know what they're going to deliver overall in the program. They have that outlined. So they're confident enough, and they know enough about what they're going to deliver to be able to create sales pages or a preview presentation. It's not like they're going in blind as bats and saying, I hope I can create something in 30 days and deliver it. They know what it is. They just might not have every little nuance created. They know enough to create the sales page, sell the program, get people into it, and then they're ready to roll when it's time to teach it. So that's kind of an overview of the timeline of how this could work. just to give you some example of some of my templates and the way I teach this in two ways. One is a virtual method where you get on a webinar with me. I'm live on there, and I train you, and then you also get live one-on-one consulting on your particular project. And I give you templates that you can use for each phase of this process. So I do it virtually in a 5-day training. And then I also give it live if you want to actually come for 2.5 days and sit in a classroom with me, and we actually spend the day devoted to creating your products, your presentation, your sales page and stuff. So I'm going to be doing that in Salt Lake City, end of June, 1st of July, in a live setting. Or I've got another training coming up in the virtual format next week. I do those every once in a while, so you can just kind of check my calendar for when I offer those virtual ones. I don't do the live in-person ones quite as often, but the live in-person ones, I mean, those people, they hit the ground running. As you can tell, 2 out of 3 of my examples that I decided to use for this class were in that live setting, and it's because they devote that time, those hours, to their program. And where the virtual one, you know, I work with you an hour in the morning, you go work on some stuff, then you come back for an hour and a half for another live consulting sort of session. And, you know, it might be easy for you to get off track. You know, you might go forget and not work on your program or something, where in the live setting, you're captive audience. We're working on your stuff. You're really devoting the time. So I do see people get better results when they're actually in the classroom setting. So if you have a chance to attend the Salt Lake one, I really recommend that one. But I got people that are getting the same results out of the virtual one as well. Anyway, day 1 on the virtual one is to identify your audience. This is the first step. And if you do the live Salt Lake one, I actually give you a recording to watch of this one ahead of time. I give you the template and everything because I want you to do your audience research before you get there. Okay, so this is something that you actually end up talking to people, and I show you how to interview them and how to get some really good, beefy information for your product by identifying your audience and talking to them. The next couple days in the virtual environment is spent on developing your program, coming up with the product that will fit this audience, that will help them in their most pressing problems. And I have templates for all of that. I also have templates for the presentation of your program or your product, however you want to call it. Day 4 is the preview presentation, and this is kind of like, this is your sales thing. This is your presentation that informs people and upsells them into your product or program. So I give you an outline of that presentation. I give you a PowerPoint template that you can make your own. And these are really powerful templates because you just fill them out and you're going to have what you need. You're going to know what to say when, and it will actually help you close the sale, which is what, you know, I just made a video about this the other day, and I was kind of being a little facetious and said I don't know anything about sales, and one of my friends said, you need to pull that out because you're teaching people how to sell, and I'm like, oh, they know I'm joking. I know how to sell, but I do it in a very systematic way. I'm not your typical smarmy salesperson. I don't like to go into high-pressure sales, and I don't think most of the people that work with me enjoy that. They don't want to have to be, you know, the smarmy salesperson. And the way I teach you how to do it, you don't have to do that, okay? You're educating people. You're not high-pressure selling them or anything like that. They're going to know whether they're a fit for what you're doing, and they're going to self-identify, and they're going to realize, hey, this is what I want to do. And that's the better customer. You know, you don't want to be something where you're twisting people's arms. And so I don't teach you, you know, the typical in-your-face sales method, but it does work, okay? The 5th day of the virtual version is the sales page, because you need some kind of a sales page, whether it's a flyer that you're going to hand out to people or whether it's a actual web page with a sales page and a buy button. You can use my templated system to create that sales page so you make sure you're covering all your bases. And this is a fun one for me to teach because in the live one-on-one sessions or in the live class, we take your sales page and we pull it up and look at it and help you edit it, help you bring out your benefits, help you with your titles, your headlines. You're getting copy editing help right here on the fly in this class. It's so much more than product creation. It's, it's help with sales page, it's help with marketing ideas, it's a presentation style, how to present yourself. So the main thing that you want to realize is before you go into this, there are some technology needs that I would like you to at least be aware of, okay? So I have shown you a few examples of people who have circumvented the technology and either used flyers or, order forms or, maybe just sign people up from people in their house, So there are ways to work around the technology, but ideally you want to have a website and a way to create web pages. Something like WordPress is ideal because anybody can learn how to create a page in WordPress, and you can add something to your site fairly easily. You're also going to need some way to take order processing. Could be a PayPal account or maybe a one shopping cart account. A lot of my clients, they're newbies and they just use PayPal account. You can even, if you're doing live trainings or live delivery of events and things, you could use the little square thing for taking Visa orders, or PayPal has its own little equivalent to the square that hooks onto your phone, and you can take PayPal orders just right there over your phone. You need some way to order process. And you also need some kind of a list service, because when people buy, you want to be able to get them onto a list and send them information. You also want to build a list so that you can eventually take the people who saw your preview presentation and keep contact with them until maybe they become buyers. So some kind of a list service like Aweber or One Shopping Cart or MailChimp or GetResponse. I send a lot of people to Aweber because it's affordable. They offer a 30-day free trial. So these are the main tech needs that you would need if you're going to sell your product or program online. So what if you're not good with technology? I actually demonstrate things in the class. So like maybe you come to the class and you've got your sales page done, but you're like, I don't really know how to get the sales page onto my WordPress site. Well, I could, in the class, if you want to use that time period that you have available in the class, I could copy and paste your sales page into the WordPress and show you how to put your buy button on. A lot of my clients, or my students, they'll send me their login information to their PayPal ahead of time, or maybe they'll send me the login for their Aweber and say, can you put an order form on here, or a sign-up form for my preview presentation. So I have tons of tech experience. I come from a computer training background. So there's not much technologically wise that I can't do for you. So I show you a lot of stuff that you might need help with. I've demonstrated Facebook ads to my students, whatever they want in those live one-on-one afternoon sessions that I do with this training. I can show you the tech things that you might need help with. YouTube is also a phenomenal university. Just go to YouTube and type in the question, how do I create a PayPal button or whatever, and you're probably going to find a video on that. YouTube is just fantastic for learning tech stuff. You can also delegate it, and I have some people I can refer you to, or I also have a web team that I've put together that can help you. So if you want to delegate that piece off, you can talk to me. Just ask me about, the needs that you have, and my team can help you with that. Okay. So you're not going to find any training similar to this that I've put together, but you could find all the pieces separately. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what would it actually cost you to do all the elements that I cover in this training? And I started looking at some of my friends. One of my friends sells a product creation training in a box, and it's a good product creation training. It doesn't go into sales page creation or some of the other things, and you just basically watch it online. $497 for that. Another friend sells a downloadable sales page creation training. Again, it's a good sales page creation training program, but there's no personal support with it. You watch it, you figure out how to apply it to what you're working on, and that's $297. Another friend of mine sells presentation training, teach you how to present yourself, how to create your preview presentations, how to sell people from the stage, and he sells it for $798. And another friend sells copywriting assistance, equivalent to what I'm offering my students, because I'm giving you templates that are pre-written, and also I customize, and help you write copy on your sales pages or your presentations in the training. So that's worth about $2,000. Copywriters are expensive if you ever hire one. Add in, the additional one-on-one consulting I give you in the live afternoon sessions. That's worth about $497. Plus, I give you 4 months of ongoing support where you can stay in my Facebook group, ask your questions, post your stuff for feedback. You can retake my class, audit it again. So a lot of my students they'll take the whole class again, or some of them will just hop on some of the the 90-minute afternoon sessions where you can bring your questions, and they'll, like, hey, I'm stuck on this, Marnie, can you show me? And they'll come to those sessions and get the help. So for 4 months, you can audit my training again. You can hop in and retake it, or retake segments, or get help. So $397 for that. So you could easily pay over $4,486 for all of this stuff that I'm giving you in this training. But it's all in one place. It's cohesive. You're not hopping all around. You're not doing things that aren't necessary. I've got it streamlined so that you're not off on tangents, wondering if you've dropped the ball on something. It's all connected, and it's making sure you're doing all of the pieces. So in my group intensive, I hold your hand while you identify and research your ideal audience. You outline your product. You outline your preview presentation. You create your sales page. So you're going to come out the other side with these things intact if you do the work, okay? And I have ways to get you to do the work that most people don't. So my students, I want them to get results, okay? That's what I'm about, results. I don't want people taking my class that are just not going to do anything. I want them coming out the other side making money, okay? And I have ways to get you to do it. Just ask some of my students. So included in the training are templates. These are worth $1,000. I didn't even really include that in the cost of everything else, because you can use them over and over again for all your future products. You've got them. Once you take my training, you got them, use them again and again. There's the Audience Insight template, the Product Program template, and the PowerPoint presentations for that. Preview Call webinar template, and again, I'll give you a PowerPoint template ready-made for that, and a template for creating sales pages. So the templates, totally included. Keep using them over and over again. Here's a little bit of what some of my students are saying. This is from Anastasia Montejano. She says, the framework that Marnie created with the strategy, the technology, the tools, and the templates helped blast me through a block that I had. I wasn't sure quite what to do with this webinar that I had or where to go beyond the webinar, and Marnie not only helped me understand exactly what I can do as far as next steps for the modules for the training, but also how that I can create a framework for my book, which is another area where I was stalled. So it was really fun to watch Anastasia, because she's working with a corporate environment. So it wasn't your typical online product she was creating. She was creating something for a corporate environment, and also creating co-writing a book. So it was really fun to see her take and adapt the material to those applications. And that's the beauty of it, is the principles are universal. You can take them and adapt them to whatever information type product that you're creating. This is also from Carolyn Colton. She said, Marnie's program holds amazing long-term solutions for me. So many templates, an organized, fill-in-the-blank way to move along in business without staying stuck in a rut of indecision and frustration, and it was just what I needed. So my classes are kept small. I want to make sure that you get the individual attention you need. So the virtual version has a maximum of 8 students per intensive. And my goal, as I said, is for you to start generating revenue as fast as possible. So the virtual intensive that's coming up next is 5 mornings of instructional training. So 1 hour, you join in on a webinar similar to this one, and I teach you the principles, okay? And then in the afternoon, you come back a couple hours later, and we get on the phone for 60 to 90 minutes, depending on how much is needed, you know. So depending on how many people are in the group and how much time we need. These are live one-on-one group consulting sessions. So everybody gets a chance to bring their questions. Maybe they can send me a file ahead of time and show me, say, your sales page. And you might say, hey, Marnie, I can't figure out how to pull my benefits out of this. Will you help me with that? And we'll work on it during that time. So you're getting laser coaching, laser consulting, laser copywriting on the fly on whatever it is that you're working on, and in a really personalized, hands-on way. See, most people, if you go and you went and bought all my colleagues' programs, you'd have to figure out how to personalize it to your product or your program. And the beauty of this is I'm doing that for you. You study material, I teach you the basics, and then you bring your project and we work on this. And this is something I've been doing for 25 years. As a computer trainer and consultant years ago, I was different than the other computer trainers. They didn't just come to a class. I had them bring their project. If they were wanting to learn Excel, for example, they brought their own Excel spreadsheet project, and we created that project. In the process, they learned how to use Excel. So that's the way I teach product creation. We create your product. We create your sales pages and your preview presentation. We use the principles, but we apply it to your project. And I don't know anybody else that's doing it this way, and it works. My people get results. I'll give you a private Facebook group where you can ask questions. This is a fun group. Lots of other people in there. It's like having a mastermind group on top of everything else, because everybody's really friendly and happy to help and give you feedback. And some of the best feedback that people receive on each other's programs and products is coming from the other students in the group, because I've got people who've been through the class before who are auditing, and they're hopping on and they'll give you insights. They know what's worked for them recently. They'll tell you what, you know, hey, I think you ought to tweak this, and you can take or leave their advice, but there's a lot of really rich information and ideas that comes out of this kind of a think tank environment that is my product creation club. So when you take my training, you get 4 months in this product creation club, and then if you want to opt in, and almost everybody that I can think of goes ahead and opts in to stay into that product creation club ongoing, so you can get really affordable ongoing help for your product creation if you want. So reserve your spot today. I'm doing a class next week that starts. Highly recommend you do it. I don't know when I'll do another virtual one because the summer's coming up and I'm going to be traveling, and I'm going to be delivering it live in Salt Lake end of June, 1st of July. So I'm not sure exactly when I'll be doing another virtual one. So if you want to get in on this, I really recommend you take the May training for the virtual version of it. And you can find out more about it at marniepehrson.com/unplugged/income now. And I'm just going to click on that, bring that up for you. Okay, so I've got a couple options on this for payment. If you do the early bird, which ends May 22nd. So that's Friday, so end of day Friday. I've got the 4 easy monthly payments of only $167, so you can space it out. You've got the 4 months in the Product Creation Club, so you're getting the ongoing support, and you just agree to pay 4 payments out at $167. Or the normal price is $797, so that Easy Pay, of course, is under that. But then you can also save even more and prepay the whole amount for $5.97 if you want to do the early bird. I won't be offering that low price or the monthly payments after the 22nd. So you want to grab your spot, and there are limited spots, and I've already got a couple people that are signed up for this class. Okay, so if you want information on this, again, if you're interested in the live Salt Lake version, go to marniepehrson.com, and over on the left-hand side will be a link for the live Salt Lake version. There's also a link there for this one as well, the virtual version. And the direct link for that is marniepehrson.com/unplugged/income now.